Alright, now we are continuing our midterm review, and this should be video number 2. Alright, so what we're going to be talking about is question number 8. So what we have here, let me see if I can adjust this a little better. Alright, maybe that's a little easier to see. Alright, so we have test, classwork, and performance final categories. And we have the mean score, so 70, 80, 90, you got an 80, that's the mean score, the average score, 100, 100, 100, and then, alright, so, now, remember, you take the mean score, you multiply it by the category percentage, and then you multiply it by the raw, or that's how you get the raw score. Now, remember that the category percentage is always going to be as a decimal. This last one's going to throw everybody off because it's 0.05, alright, so 80 times 0.4 gives you 32, 100 times 0.35 gives you 35, so on and so forth. Now, what you need to do is get a total raw score. So that is 32 plus 35 plus 3.8, which gives you 70.8. So this is his total raw score at the moment. All right. Now, what grade must Bill get? He wants to make an 81 in the class. So here's what you're going to do. He wants an 81. So you start with an 81. Then you subtract the raw score that he has at the moment, which is 70.8. All right, you're going to get a number. All right, once you get that number, then you look at the final exam percentage. It's 20%. So you divide that number by 0.2 because that's 20% as a decimal, and then you're going to get what he has to get. He needs to get a 51, so he has to get a 51. So what that tells me, if he wants to get an 81 and he only has to make a 51, that tells me he already has a better grade going into the final exam than an 81. So so basically he just have to a little more than a Christmas tree. All right, Bill bought a new truck. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve this column because there's just not enough room to write over here. All right, but there's the answers. All right, so the aftermarket tires, you have 205. You have 75, you have 16. All right, so 205, 75, and 16. The 205 is the width. All right, the 75 is the aspect ratio. Now, lastly, the 16, that is the rim height. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 7 things to figure out. 3 of them come from the size of the tire right here. All right, now, to get the height of the sidewall, what you're going to do is you're going to take 205, multiply it by 75. Now, really, 75 is actually 75%. Then you're going to get this number here. All right, so 205 times 0.75, because that's 75% as a decimal, gives you 153.8. Now, this is in millimeters. Okay, we got to convert this to inches. So what you do, notice down here it says 25.4 millimeters to 1 inch. So I'm going to take this number, I'm going to divide it by 25.4, and I'm going to get 6.1 inches. Now, let me put a visual on this problem to help you out. Here's my tire. Looks like a donut, but here's my tire. All right. The height of one sidewall is 6.1 inches. Well, remember that the sidewall is that part of the tire, as well as this part of the tire, so that you have the upper and lower sidewalls. All right, the rim is how tall the rim is. All right, so to find the overall height of the tire, you're figuring out, okay, how high from here all the way down to the ground. So that's 6.1 plus 16 plus 16, 6.1. You add them together, you get 28.1. That's how tall the tire is, 28.1 inches. Now, lastly is the circumference of the tire. The way you do that, and I gave you the formula, it is 3.14 times the height. So take the height, which is 28.1, and multiply it by 3.14, and you get 88.3 inches. Now, what this tells me is that every time that this tire turns, it goes 88.3 inches down the road. All right, so let's take this and answer some questions. All right, from the previous page, we got to solve for k. Now, I don't know if you remember, from first unit, but to solve for K, it is the circumference of the big tire divided by the circumference of the small tire. All right, so the circumference of the big tire, going back to the other side, was 88.3. I know that's the big tire because that's the larger number. There's the other one, that's the smaller tire. That's the smaller number. So 88.3 divided by 76.8. 76.8. Divide that out, you get 1.15. Now, what this number is, this is the number that tells me how much error I have. So if you, error, E-R-R-O-R, error, all right? Now, if you were to put on bigger tires, and if you have not, and if you do not adjust your odometer, then technically you're going further than your car is telling you. So according to Bill's odometer, he traveled 80,000 miles. But he forgot to adjust his odometer for the larger tires. So in reality, he's going 92,000 miles. Now the way you do this is you take 80,000 and you multiply it by K, 1.15. That's how you get this. He thinks he's going 45 miles per hour. He's not. Take 45, multiply by 1.15. He's actually going 51.8. So a cop could actually pull him over if he's, let's just say he's going 45 in a, well, what he thinks is 45 in a 45 mile per hour spot. He's actually going 51.8. Now, lastly, 16, multiply it by 1.15. All right, question number 10. Same question as question number 8, I believe. Mean score times the category gives you this. You add this up, 73.4. That's his raw score total at the moment. Bill wants to get a 95. So apparently, in another class, Bill wants to make a 95. Well, hopefully you remember, 95 is what we start with, minus the raw score at the moment, 73.4, gives you a number. Then you divide it by, in this case, 20%, because that's how much the final exam is. Take that. You get 108. So what that tells me is that Bill will never get a 95 because he has to make a 108 on his final exam. It's not going to happen. All right. Let's see how much time I have left. Oh, I got enough time. Let's do another one. All right, question number 11. Joe's watching a 16:9 show on chickens and on his older 4.3 wide TV screen, or TV. The width of the TV is 25 inches. So that means from here all the way to there is 25. See, whenever you watch TV, you have the black bars going horizontal. All right, normally it's the black bars going up because not many people have smaller, 4.3 TVs anymore. All right, now we have got to find the area of the older TV. Now, the width is 25, but we don't know how tall it is. So let's go ahead and make a proportion. So let's do the 4.3 TV first. So 4.3, I'm going to write as a proportion because of the fact that it is width over height. Sorry about that. I had a cough. The width is 25. So 25 will be on top. What I need to know is my height. Cross multiply. Because remember, I'm making a proportion width over height. All right. So that would be, my overall height was we'll just say 18.8 inches. All right. Now, this is a rectangle. So if this is your width, this is your height, to find the area, you would multiply the two. All right. So 25 times 18.8, that gave me 470. So 470 inches squared is the area of this larger rectangle. Okay. Now I've got to find the area of the chicken. It's a 16:9 because it says right here on a chicken show 16:9. So again, 16:9, make it a ratio. 16 over 9, remember it's width over height, is equal to, now notice, the width of the TV and the width of the chicken show is exactly the same. So that would be 25 over x. Cross multiply. And you get the height of the chicken is 14.1. Okay, so here's the width of the chicken show. Here's the height of it. I multiply the two, I get 352.5. Now lastly, it says what is the percentage of the screen's area is occupied by the image. Alright, so basically we got to figure out how much screen space is this chicken taking up compared to the rest of the rectangle. So 352.5 represents the area of the chicken. That's how much of the space the chicken is taking up, divided by the total, which is 470. You get 0.75. Move it 2 places over, 75%. All right. Question number 12. This will probably be the last one for this video. I have my TV. There's my TV. It says John bought a 62-inch TV, so the diagonal is a 62. I do not have my height. I don't know what my width is, but I do have my aspect ratio, which is 16:9. So hopefully you remember in class, we're going to take the aspect ratio and write it as 16x, 9x, because we're taking the aspect ratio and applying it to the width and height. Okay. Now, if I was to cover up this part of the TV, oh, you can barely see it. You have a right triangle. So this brings in the Pythagorean Theorem. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. The width, we'll call that our A. The height plus 9x squared is equal to 62 squared. Alright, work this out. 256x squared plus 81x squared is equal to 3,844. Combining like terms, 337x squared is equal to 3,844. Now, basic algebra, I'm dividing by 337. Dividing by 337. I'm going to tell you, you're probably going to get an ugly decimal. It's okay though, we're going to keep going. And you're going to get rounding 10.2. Now, x squared is equal to 10.2. I have to d-square it, so to speak, by taking the square root. So the square root of this, of 10.2, is going to be, x is equal to, I'm going to round here, 3.2. Now, 3.2 is what x is. The width is 16x. So to get my actual dimensions of my width, I'll take 3.2 multiplied by 16 to get 54.4 inches. I do the same thing, 3.2, plug it in for x for here, and I get 30.6 inches. So the actual width and height of the TV is 54.4 and 30.6. Alright, and I believe that is going to be my time to end video 2. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.